The galaxy had long forgotten what fear felt like. Empires rose and fell, species conquered and submitted, and yet none remembered the name of humans, not truly. They were spoken of in whispers now, as if a myth, a story told to scare the arrogant young races. But myths always begin with truth. It started quietly, on the distant edge of the Orion Arm, where a forgotten human colony named Erebus 9 floated around a dying star. The rest of the galaxy thought humanity had faded long ago, scattered and silent after the Great Exodus, the day when humans, without warning, simply walked away from the Galactic Council. No one knew why. No one cared. After all, what was one more stubborn species refusing to obey? Yet, on that forgotten planet, something stirred. A salvage crew from the Creel Dominion landed on Erebus 9, searching for scrap metal and ancient tech. The leader, Captain Verne, was confident. Humans were extinct, he believed, slow, emotional creatures, good only for primitive weapons and nostalgic art. But when his scanners detected a faint energy pulse from beneath the planet's surface, his arrogance began to fade. The signal wasn't natural. It was human. The crew drilled deep into the ground, breaking through old layers of carbon and dust until their lights touched something impossible, a door. It was huge, metal black as space, carved with a single word in the old Terran tongue. Await. Probably some ancient vault, Verne said, his mandibles twitching. Open it. They did. The moment the door cracked open, the world itself seemed to wake up. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through their bones. Energy readings spiked off every chart. And then came the voice. Calm. Cold. Human. Authorization recognized. Protocol 0 reinstated. The Creel crew froze. Machines that had slept for centuries came alive. Drones, turrets, orbital satellites, all reactivating in silence. One of the crew shouted for retreat, but it was too late. The sky burned. A single beam of light erupted from the planet's surface, slicing through the atmosphere and tearing apart their ship in orbit. Far across the galaxy, sensors in the capital of the Galactic Council screamed to life. For the first time in 500 years, a human code had been detected. The council chamber erupted in chaos. The Vraxian ambassador slammed his claws against the table. Impossible! Humanity destroyed themselves. The archivist AI, speaking in its smooth mechanical tone, replied, "Correction, humanity withdrew. Records show complete voluntary isolation after the Council's rejection of their directive." The room fell silent. Everyone remembered the directive, the one humans had proposed before leaving, a warning that the galaxy was heading towards something catastrophic. They had begged the Council to prepare. The Council had laughed. Now, centuries later, their laughter turned to fear. On Erebus 9, as storms raged and lightning danced around the awakened facility, a single pod opened inside the vault. Within lay a human, or something beyond human. His eyes flickered open, glowing faintly blue. "Status report," he said quietly. "Systems restored," replied an AI voice. "Dormancy complete. Awaiting command." The man, or perhaps the weapon, stood slowly, his breath steady, his face calm. "Begin reactivation of the fleet." "Fleet?" the AI asked. "Humanity never left," he whispered. "We waited." Above the planet, hidden in the blackness of deep space, hundreds of massive structures began to shimmer into view. Old human ships cloaked in silence, their engines flickering back to life. The galaxy trembled that night. Old enemies woke from dreams of peace. Sensors across 1,000 systems went dark. For centuries, everyone thought humans had walked away because they were weak. But as the stars burned brighter over Erebus 9, one truth became clear. They hadn't walked away. They had been watching, waiting. And now, they were coming back. The signal from Erebus 9 traveled faster than light through ancient human channels that no alien could trace. It spread across the galaxy like a ghost, passing through dead relays, forgotten satellites, and abandoned outposts. Every system it touched came alive for a single heartbeat, then went dark again. The Galactic Council was in panic. In their shining capital, a world of glass and light called Valaris Prime, leaders of 100 species gathered to discuss what none of them could believe. "The humans were gone," shouted the Vraxian ambassador, his scales pulsing red. "They walked away. How can they return now, after 5 centuries?" The Valari delegate, tall, elegant, and known for her cold logic, replied softly, "Perhaps they never left. Perhaps we simply stopped looking." Silence filled the room. The council chair, a machine intelligence named Prime Concordia, flickered on the main screen. Sensor analysis confirms a Class Omega reactivation event. The signal bears full Terran encryption. This is not a hoax. A murmur spread through the chamber. Omega reactivation, that phrase was not supposed to exist anymore. It meant one thing: human war systems coming online. No one dared speak the name of what that could mean, not after the last time. Across the stars, fleets began to mobilize. Old rivalries were forgotten, replaced by one shared fear. Every empire remembered the stories of the last human war. They had seen what one Terran battle group could do when provoked. One fleet had erased a planet. One man had brought entire armadas to their knees. Now that same power was stirring again. On Erebus 9, the man who had awoken, designation Commander Icarus 01, stood before a wide observation window, staring into the stormy horizon. The air smelled of rust and ozone. His armor hummed softly, syncing with the planet's systems. "Status?" he asked. "All orbital defense units online," the AI replied. "Energy levels stable. Fleet awakening sequence at 32%. Icarus nodded. "And the Council? They have detected us. Their transmissions indicate confusion and fear." "Good," he said quietly. "They should be afraid." The AI hesitated. "Commander, may I ask, what is our objective?" He looked out at the sky, where lightning struck the barren mountains again and again. "To remind them," he said. "To remind the galaxy why humanity walked away." Aboard a Council scout ship orbiting the system, Captain Relth watched in disbelief as readings appeared across his screen. Massive human vessels, invisible moments ago, now appeared in formation. Sleek, dark, silent giants that dwarfed any known ship. "Impossible," he whispered. Each ship bore no flag, no code, no signal of peace or war. They simply drifted, waiting. And then, one by one, their engines ignited. Far away, on Valaris Prime, the Council received a transmission. A single message, simple and cold, encoded in ancient Terran format. When translated, it read, "You ignored the warning. You built empires on lies. The Watchers return. Prepare yourselves." The chamber erupted into chaos. "It's a declaration of war," shouted one. "No," cried another. "It's a message of judgment." The chair spoke above the noise. "Humanity has initiated a Class 1 re-engagement. Their fleets are forming in multiple sectors." "Multiple?" "Yes. Erebus 9 is not alone." Commander Icarus stepped into the command bay of his ship, the Dawnbreaker. The room came alive with light as old systems responded to his presence. Hundreds of screens displayed human symbols, fleet positions, activation codes, long-dormant stations waking up. "Fleet Command reporting in," said a voice. 12 carriers online. 53 cruisers ready. Orbital cannons active. He raised his head. "Begin silent formation. Await orders from Core Command." The AI hesitated again. "And if Core Command does not respond?" Icarus smiled faintly, the kind of smile that could freeze blood. "Then we become Core Command." Meanwhile, on a small research station orbiting the nearby star, a young alien scientist named Kiri watched the readings with horror. She had studied ancient Terran data for years, fascinated by their history. She had always believed they were peaceful explorers who had simply chosen isolation. But the energy signatures now matched something else entirely: the Armageddon Protocol. "Impossible," she whispered. "They said that project was destroyed." Her mentor, an older scholar with trembling hands, shook his head. Destroyed? No. Humans never destroy their weapons. They just put them to sleep. As the human fleet spread across the void, the stars themselves seemed to dim. Each awakening ship whispered the same phrase through the dark, a message old as their final day in the council. Humanity does not conquer. Humanity endures. And when we return, the galaxy will remember why. Erebus 9 shone bright as the first Terran cruiser lifted from its surface, engines roaring, breaking through the storm clouds like a blade through the heavens. Every eye across the galaxy turned toward that light. Because for the first time in 500 years, humanity had moved. And the galaxy trembled once more. The galaxy held its breath. Across thousands of worlds, transmissions froze mid-signal, ships paused mid-flight, and even the boldest species whispered only one name: humans. No one had expected them to return. Not like this, silent, organized, unstoppable. In the capital of the Galactic Council, the great hall of Valaris Prime was filled with chaos. Holograms of ships and battle maps filled the air. Generals shouted, ambassadors argued, and machine intelligences calculated impossible outcomes. "They're not answering hails," said the Valari delegate, her calm voice hiding the fear in her eyes. "We've tried every language, every frequency. The human fleet ignores all transmissions." "Maybe they want peace," said another. "Peace," growled the Vraxian warlord. "They woke a war fleet older than our species. That is not peace, that is vengeance." The chair, Prime Concordia, flickered again. "We must establish contact before they take further action." "Contact?" The Vraxian slammed the table. "And what if they fire first?" Concordia turned its bright golden eyes toward him. "Then we will learn if gods can bleed." Light years away, the Dawnbreaker drifted at the edge of Erebus 9's orbit. Inside, Commander Icarus stood before a glowing table of star charts. Dozens of red dots marked ancient human colonies, places lost to history, now pulsing with new life. "Status report," he said. "All primary fleets online," replied the AI. "Civilian archives recovered. The core has not yet responded." Icarus studied the map silently. "They will. They always do." Then, suddenly, a faint transmission flickered through the static. "This is the Galactic Council of Valaris Prime," said a nervous voice. "To the Terran fleet, identify yourselves. What is your purpose here?" The crew on the bridge turned to Icarus. The air felt heavy. For centuries, no human had spoken to the council. He pressed a finger to his calm, open channel. Static hissed. Then his voice cut through the void, calm, steady, human. "This is Commander Icarus of the Terran Defense Network. We are here to execute the continuation directive. Humanity has returned to reclaim its lost systems." Gasps echoed through the council hall as the transmission played live across the galaxy. Billions of citizens watched in silence. "Reclaim," one alien diplomat whispered. "They mean conquer." But Icarus' next words froze them all. "Do not interfere. We have no quarrel with the living, only with what you buried." "What we buried?" the Valari delegate murmured. Concordia's processors accelerated. Cross-reference that phrase with historical human data. Moments later, the AI's voice dropped in tone. "Oh no. What is it?" "The humans warned us before they left," Concordia said slowly. "They said something was coming. Something that consumes stars." Back aboard the Dawnbreaker, Icarus watched the Council's reaction from intercepted feeds. His eyes narrowed. "They still don't understand." "Commander," said the AI, "the Council has mobilized fleets. They're preparing for defense." "Of course they are." Icarus looked toward the darkness beyond the stars. "They always prepare for the wrong war." In a hidden sector beyond mapped space, sensors began to flicker. Strange energy signatures pulsed, faint, rhythmic, and familiar to only one species, humans. The Terran archives had called them Eaters of Light. A machine species older than any civilization, sleeping in the void between galaxies. The humans had found traces of them centuries ago, and warned the Council. The Council had ignored them. Now, something was moving in that void. Back on Valaris Prime, panic spread through the Council chamber as new readings appeared on the main screen. Unknown objects entering the outer rim. How many? Hundreds? No, thousands. Concordia's golden light dimmed. They are not human. Energy signatures match no known species. The room fell silent again. And then the realization hit them like a wave. The humans, they weren't preparing for war with us, the Valari delegate whispered. They were preparing for this. Commander Icarus stood at the observation deck as his ship systems connected with the reawakening Terran network. Massive human stations came online across the galaxy, their ancient cannons tracking the dark between stars. "Commander," said the AI softly, "the enemy has stirred." "I know," he replied. "Signal the fleet. Activate the Aegis protocol." "Should we inform the Council?" "They wouldn't believe us even now." He watched the stars ahead, where something vast and shadowed moved among the light. "Let them think we're their enemy," he said. "It's easier that way." Across the galaxy, people gathered around screens, watching the ancient human ships align in perfect formation. Even from light years away, they looked terrifying, beautiful and silent, their hulls glowing like burning suns. For centuries, humanity had been a ghost story. Now they were the wall between the galaxy and extinction. And still, no one understood. Not yet. The darkness was coming. And only humanity had stayed behind long enough to face it. The void between the stars shivered. For centuries, the galaxy had believed the darkness of interstellar space was empty, silent, lifeless, safe. But no space was truly empty. Not when something waited patiently for eons, feeding on stars, drifting through the black like a predator too large to see. The first sign was subtle. Sensors across the outer rim flickered and died. Communications went silent in entire sectors. Planets spun without the touch of light. By the time the Council realized what was happening, shadows had already crossed a dozen star systems. "Impossible!" shouted the Vraxian warlord from his warship. "No technology could cause this." "It's not technology," said the Valari scientist, her voice tight. "It's alive." At the same time, Commander Icarus stood on the bridge of Dawnbreaker, staring at displays of energy readings that would have terrified any other species. They were monstrous, beyond comprehension. The Eaters of Light, ancient, devouring entities of pure energy, were stirring from their sleep. "They've awakened," Icarus said softly. "And they're hungry." The AI beside him responded, "All Terran fleets report readiness. Defensive grids operational. Core command standing by." "Good," Icarus said, turning his gaze toward the stars. "It's time the galaxy remembered why humanity walked away." The Council scrambled. Holomaps of the outer rim showed swarms of darkness approaching at impossible speeds. Worlds were being consumed, entire civilizations wiped out before fleets could arrive. Panic spread like wildfire. "Why now?" the Vraxian asked. "Why has this waited so long?" Concordia's mechanical voice filled the chamber. "We ignored the humans' warning. The continuation directive was dismissed. Now, the consequence is inevitable." A tremor ran through the hall. Ships docked in the capital lifted off, their crews anxious and afraid. The galaxy's greatest fleets were moving, but even at full speed, they were only reacting, never preparing. On Erebus 9, humanity's ships formed massive patterns in orbit. Unlike the Council fleets, they did not move in panic. Their formations were precise, elegant, terrifying. Ancient war stations lit up, long-dead defense systems hummed with life, and orbital cannons pointed toward the darkness, waiting. "Commander," said the AI, "Council fleets are engaging. They do not trust us. Some have fired warning shots." Icarus didn't flinch. "Let them fire," he said. They must understand the difference between humans and the galaxy's other races. One mistake, one misunderstanding, and billions will die, including them. The first warning shots came, streaks of plasma arcing toward the Dawnbreaker and its escort ships. The Terran fleet responded not with anger, but with control. Precise energy barriers flared, deflecting attacks harmlessly, then neutralizing the offending warships without loss of life. The message was clear: humanity did not fight for conquest. Humanity fought to protect. Meanwhile, the Eaters of Light advanced. Massive, shadowed forms flowed between stars, devouring everything in their path. A single tendril could strip a planet bare in seconds. Entire fleets tried to block them but were crushed like paper. The galaxy's greatest scientists watched in horror as energy readings went off the charts. "This is the end," one whispered. "Nothing can stop them." Then, Terran ships appeared at the front lines. Not a fleet to conquer, but a wall. Massive cruisers emitted pulses of pure light, forcing the shadows back. Energy weapons of old human design tore through the darkness, and ancient war satellites fired in unison. For the first time, the Eaters of Light recoiled. "Commander," said the AI, "our presence has shifted their trajectory." "They hesitate." Icarus nodded. "Good. Hold them. Every second counts. The galaxy still doesn't know who is protecting it." Back at the council, ambassadors and generals stared in awe as the Terran fleet fought with a coordination and efficiency beyond imagination. Fleets that had dismissed humanity now watched helplessly, realizing that the humans were not only alive but centuries ahead in strategy, technology, and foresight. This cannot be," the Vraxian growled. "They should be extinct." "They are not extinct," said the Valari delegate, her voice trembling. "They are humanity." Icarus' voice came again over the transmission networks, calm and commanding. "Council fleets, stand down. Humanity will handle the initial containment. If you interfere, more will die. Trust us, as the galaxy once did, before it doubted us." Hesitation spread through the council. The Vraxian warlord raised his claws to argue, but the energy readings told a story too massive to ignore. The shadowed tendrils of the Eaters of Light were retreating under the Terran assault. Hours turned into days. Humanity's fleet did not tire. They fought not for glory, not for conquest, but to protect the civilizations that had ignored their warnings for centuries. Orbital weapons fired in synchronization, cruisers cut precise paths through the darkness, and communication relays coordinated strikes across thousands of light-years. And then, finally, the first breach occurred. The largest Eater of Light, a massive black entity that had swallowed 5 systems in a heartbeat, faltered as a coordinated human assault struck simultaneously from 3 directions. Energy pulsed and exploded, and the creature screamed in a soundless, cosmic wail before retreating into the void. For the first time in eons, the galaxy saw a creature it could not survive, and humans standing victorious. Commander Icarus looked out over the field of battle, the glow of human ships illuminating the void. "We warned them," he said quietly. "They didn't listen. And now, they will understand." The AI responded. "Shall we continue pursuit?" Icarus' eyes narrowed, reflecting the distant fires of destroyed stars. "Yes. Humanity protects what it swore to protect. And nothing will stop it." Across the galaxy, a single truth echoed in every heart: humanity was not a species to fear, but a species to respect. The galaxy had doubted them. The darkness had challenged them. And still, humanity endured. The galaxy was waking up to a new reality. Worlds that had long forgotten humans watched in awe as ancient fleets, thought extinct, glided through space with silent purpose. Ships older than many civilizations hummed to life, their dark hulls glowing faintly, reflecting the fires of distant stars. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, but as guardians, and the galaxy felt the weight of it. Commander Icarus stood on the bridge of the Dawnbreaker, his eyes scanning live feeds of systems previously lost to darkness. "Status?" he asked. "All Terran fleets reporting," said the AI. "Orbital defense grids fully operational. Containment of the Eaters of Light is stable. No major losses. Icarus nodded. Good. Begin reclamation protocols. Activate communication nodes in all former human colonies. The ancient communications system pulsed with light. Across the galaxy, dormant human outposts lit up like distant lighthouses, broadcasting a simple message in basic Terran. Humanity protects. Systems awake. Stand ready. Some species panicked. Others froze in disbelief. Entire planetary governments convened emergency councils, trying to understand the sudden reappearance of humans and their technology. In the heart of Valaris Prime, the Galactic Council's leaders watched Terran fleets reclaim lost stations with precise, almost effortless efficiency. "They're everywhere," whispered the Valari delegate. "And they're organized, more than we ever were." On Erebus 9, Icarus activated the first phase of the reclamation protocol. Massive transport ships began ferrying humans from hidden colonies back to central hubs. Ancient shipyards, buried for centuries, roared back to life, repairing cruisers, carriers, and defense platforms. For the first time in generations, humans were united under one command structure again. "Commander," said the AI, "our fleets are detecting Council warships approaching our outer perimeter. They are moving cautiously, requesting permission to dock and resupply." Icarus considered them. "Allow them. But keep defensive systems online. Their fleets may respect us, but their minds do not yet understand our purpose." A few hours later, Council ships arrived. For the first time in 500 years, humans and aliens stood side by side in silence. The Council representatives watched as the Terran fleet demonstrated the power they had long dismissed as myth. Carriers unfolded massive energy shields, defensive satellites activated automatically, and cruisers synchronized their movements in perfect formation. "It's breathtaking," whispered one ambassador. "They've mastered war, but they don't fight like we do." Icarus' voice came over the communication net. "We do not fight for glory. We fight for survival. We fight for the galaxy. Join us, and you will learn to survive together. Stand against us, and you will perish like those who ignored the warning." Even the Eaters of Light paused. In the dark void beyond the outer rim, their tendrils recoiled from the light of human fleets. Ancient sensors that had slept for centuries detected human energy patterns with fear, as if the very presence of humanity was a deterrent. Back on Valaris Prime, Council leaders realized the truth they had refused to see for generations. Humanity had not walked away because they were weak. Humanity had waited. They had prepared. And now, the galaxy's survival depended on their return. The Vraxian warlord finally spoke, voice low and trembling. "We underestimated them. For 5 centuries, we laughed. And now we pay attention," said the Valari delegate. Across multiple sectors, human fleets established command hubs on former colonies. Stations that had sat abandoned for centuries were fully restored in days. Defensive satellites, ancient Terran weapons, and mobile energy grids formed a network stronger than any empire's fleet. Humanity's return was not chaotic, it was precise, deliberate, and unstoppable. Icarus watched all this from the bridge, his expression calm. "They will understand soon," he said. "Understand what?" asked the AI. "That humanity does not conquer for power, nor destroy for vengeance. Humanity survives. And those who survive together will endure. Those who doubt, they will learn respect, one way or another." And the first test came immediately. A rogue fleet, misunderstanding Terran intentions, fired upon a reclaimed station. Without hesitation, human defenses neutralized the threat with precision, leaving no casualties, but making the lesson clear: humanity does not tolerate reckless aggression. Across the galaxy, the word spread. Humans were back. They were powerful beyond imagination. They were not here to conquer. They were here to protect. The Council finally realized that centuries of underestimating humanity had been their greatest mistake. And deep in the darkness, the Eaters of Light waited. They sensed the growing human presence and the organized resistance forming like an unbreakable wall across the galaxy. For the first time in eons, something feared humans. Commander Icarus turned from the observation window, facing his officers. "Prepare for the next phase," he said. "We protect our own, but we also protect everyone else. Humanity does not act alone anymore. The galaxy will remember this day." A low hum filled the fleet as systems synchronized. Hundreds of ships, thousands of weapons, and millions of lines of command software came to life simultaneously. Humanity had returned, fully awake, and the galaxy had no choice but to adapt. And somewhere beyond the stars, the ancient predators stirred. The real challenge was just beginning. The darkness moved faster than any starship could follow. The Eaters of Light, ancient predators of energy and void, had begun their direct assault. Systems in the outer rim flickered and died as their tendrils consumed power grids and communication arrays. Entire colonies vanished in seconds, leaving only the cold emptiness of space behind. "Commander," said the AI aboard Dawnbreaker, "the Eaters of Light have entered the Orion Expanse. Multiple fleets report engagement. Casualties are escalating rapidly." Icarus stood at the observation window, eyes calm, unmoved by the destruction. "Hold position. Let them strike. We do not fight recklessly. Let the galaxy witness what humanity is." The human fleets moved into formation. Thousands of ships, carriers, cruisers, and ancient Terran war stations aligned with perfect precision. Each vessel pulsed with energy shields, defensive satellites flickering to life, and weapon systems humming with calculated readiness. Where other species reacted with panic, humans acted with intelligence and timing. The first wave of Eaters reached human space. Their shadowed tendrils lashed across systems, consuming stars, tearing apart planets. Council fleets tried to intercept, but they were no match. Human ships moved with surgical precision, drawing the darkness into traps set centuries ago, during the days when humans first warned the galaxy of the Predator's existence. "Commander," said the AI, "our pulse grids are ready. Shall we initiate?" Icarus nodded. "Do it." Massive energy pulses shot through space, weaving a lattice of light that cut through the shadows. Eaters recoiled, their tendrils writhing as the pulses disrupted their energy flow. Entire star systems lit up as ancient Terran stations unleashed devastating countermeasures. For the first time, the Predators screamed, a soundless, galaxy-shaking vibration that rattled ships across light years. In the heat of battle, humans demonstrated ingenuity beyond the Council's understanding. Fleets split and feigned retreats, drawing the shadows into concentrated zones. Traps activated, energy nets, light-guided drones, and orbital cannons from forgotten colonies that humans had restored in days. One massive Eater, larger than any fleet, lunged toward the Dawnbreaker. Icarus commanded the ship to release the Oblivion Array, an ancient weapon designed centuries ago for this exact moment. A beam of concentrated energy, stronger than 1,000 suns, struck the creature. Its form twisted and shattered, fragments scattering into the void. "Impact confirmed," the AI reported. "Eater destabilized." Icarus did not smile. "There are more. Focus. Strategy before force." Across the galaxy, Council leaders watched in awe. Planets that had feared the human fleet now realized that humanity's return was not about conquest or dominance, it was about protection, intelligence, and survival. Humans fought not only with weapons, but with calculated strategy, exploiting weaknesses the galaxy had forgotten existed. "Impossible," whispered the Vraxian admiral. "They are guiding the entire defense." "They always have," said the Valari delegate quietly. "We doubted them. And yet, they lead better than we ever could." The battle continued for days. Countless human ships engaged, not just with firepower, but with coordination the Council had never seen. Ancient war stations, awakened from centuries of dormancy, unleashed devastating volleys. Cloaked carriers appeared from hyperspace, striking Eaters from unexpected angles. Humans sacrificed vessels and drones in precise maneuvers, drawing predators into traps while minimizing civilian losses. And through it all, Icarus remained calm, a commander centuries ahead of any alien fleet. "Focus on containment, not destruction, he said. Do not underestimate them. Every eater neutralized strengthens the galaxy's chance of survival. By the 7th day, the tide had turned. The eaters, once unstoppable, now hesitated. Human ingenuity and sacrifice had forced them to retreat temporarily. Entire fleets that had been thought lost were recovered and repaired in days, thanks to the Terran fleet's rapid response and technological superiority. On Valaris Prime, the Council finally understood the truth. Humanity had been dismissed as extinct, but their power, foresight, and dedication surpassed imagination. They were not gods, nor conquerors. They were guardians. Concordia's voice filled the chamber. Humanity has shown us what survival, preparation, and strategy truly mean. They are not our enemy. They are the galaxy's shield. Commander Icarus stood on the observation deck of the Dawnbreaker, gazing at the retreating darkness. Stars burned brightly again, planets stabilized, and fleets regrouped. Tell the Council, he said to the AI. We protect the galaxy. Not because it owes us, but because we must. And humanity will remain its sentinel, as long as it lives. The AI responded, Message prepared, Commander. Shall I broadcast? Icarus nodded. Yes. Let them understand the cost of ignoring warnings, the power of preparation, and the reason humanity walks its own path. Today, the galaxy remembers. As light returned to the void, one truth became clear to all who had witnessed the battle. Humanity had walked away centuries ago not because it was weak, but because it was wise, and now, it had returned stronger than ever. And the galaxy trembled in awe. The final battle had begun. Across the Orion expanse, the Eaters of Light surged forward with renewed ferocity. Entire star systems quivered under the pressure of their immense energy. Yet, humanity's fleet stood unwavering, a wall of precision and light, centuries of preparation ready to face the ancient predators. Commander Icarus stood on the Dawnbreaker's command bridge, his gaze fixed on the darkness approaching. This is it, he said quietly. The galaxy depends on us. Humanity depends on us. We cannot fail. The AI responded calmly. All units report readiness. Energy lattices synchronized. Offensive arrays aligned. Tactical advantage calculated at 78%. Icarus nodded. Good. Initiate phase Omega. From every corner of human-controlled space, fleets converged. Carriers, cruisers, and ancient Terran war stations formed massive concentric patterns around the approaching Eaters. Energy pulses lit the void like 1,000 suns. For the first time, the Predators encountered a force prepared not just to defend, but to end them. The first strike was devastating. Orbital cannons fired in unison, beams of pure light slicing through tendrils of darkness. Cloaked carriers emerged from hyperspace, striking the Eaters from unexpected angles. The creatures screamed in silent fury, their forms twisting as if in pain, yet advancing relentlessly. Icarus watched the field with calm determination. Remember, he said to his crew, we do not fight for glory. We fight for life. Precision, patience, and sacrifice. Every move counts. Human ingenuity shone brightest in the face of chaos. Fleets executed maneuvers that no alien species could anticipate. Decoy formations drew the Eaters into traps. Energy nets immobilized their largest forms. Automated drones, long dormant relics of humanity's ancient wars, activated across multiple systems, striking simultaneously with deadly accuracy. Even the Council's fleets, once hesitant, followed the Terran lead, realizing that humanity's strategy was the only chance of survival. Ambassadorial eyes widened as human ships neutralized massive tendrils without unnecessary destruction, saving inhabited worlds while turning the Predators back. This is beyond anything we imagined, whispered the Valari delegate. They are not just fighting, they are teaching the galaxy how to survive. On Erebus 9, Icarus activated the final weapon, the Starbreaker Array. A network of ancient stations, powered by the fusion of multiple suns, formed a single massive beam of energy, focused on the heart of the largest Eater. Prepare to fire, he commanded. The AI replied, all arrays aligned. Target locked. Energy threshold at maximum. Icarus' hand hovered over the release console. For humanity. For the galaxy. He pressed it. A beam of impossible brilliance shot through space, striking the Eater at its core. The creature's form erupted in light, scattering fragments across light years. A shockwave of energy rippled through the void, cleansing entire sectors of the remaining tendrils. For the first time in millennia, silence returned to the dark spaces between stars. The Council watched in awe. Humanity had not only survived, they had defeated the unstoppable. Entire fleets of alien species witnessed the Terran strategy, efficiency, and courage. For the first time, centuries of misunderstanding, doubt, and fear were replaced with respect. Prime Concordia addressed the council chamber, its voice steady. Humanity has shown us what it means to endure, to prepare, and to protect. They are not conquerors. They are guardians. The galaxy owes them gratitude, not war. Icarus stood on the observation deck of the Dawnbreaker, staring at the remnants of the Eaters scattered across the void. He turned to his AI. We've done what we came to do. Humanity protected the galaxy, as it always should. And now? Now what, Commander? He smiled faintly, a rare expression. Now, the galaxy can finally know what humanity truly is. Not a myth. Not a warning. But a force that endures, that rises when all else falls, and protects life, even when others fail to see the danger. Humanity walks its own path, but it walks for everyone. Across restored systems, humans and alien allies alike celebrated quietly, not for conquest, but for survival. Civilization had been preserved. Darkness had been defeated. And the message of the Terran people was clear. Humanity does not conquer. Humanity does not rule. Humanity survives. And it protects. In the distant stars, where once the galaxy trembled at the absence of humans, it now trembled with awe at their return. The legend was no longer a myth. Humanity had walked away, yes, but it had returned stronger, wiser, and victorious. And as Commander Icarus looked out over the reborn galaxy, he knew one truth above all. The day humanity walked away had ended. The day humanity returned had begun. The galaxy would never forget.